Part 17 Complicated Love. The next day, Ginny sat limp in the room with her eyes closed. She held something in her hand. Her face looked very pale, and suddenly Rose came up to surprise her. "What are you doing, Jen?" "Rose, you just startled me," surprised Ginny, who immediately hid something in her hand. "I've been screaming in front of the house, but there is no answer from you." "Yeah, I just went in," Rose said, annoyed. "Ginny, your face is so pale. Are you sick?" asked Rose, touching Ginny's forehead. "No, Rose, I'm fine," nervous Ginny. "Jen, are you hiding something from me?" suspects Rose. No, Rose," Ginny nervous again. "What are you holding behind you?" asked Rose, glancing behind Ginny. "It's nothing, Rose," Ginny answered, whose forehead was already covered with sweat. "If it's nothing, show me," Rose asked, trying to reach behind Ginny's body. However, Ginny immediately avoided her. Rose didn't give up. She roughly grabbed the object that was in Ginny's hand and suddenly made her so ready when she saw it, which is none other than the test pack. "Rose, yesterday," Ginny asked by snatching it from Rose's hand. "Ginny, are you pregnant? How come? I mean, how could Lisa do that to you? You never even saw a doctor. Is that Lisa's child? Or—" "Rose, shut up. Your question is ridiculous. Do you want to accuse me of doing nothing with a man?" annoyed Ginny. "Oh yes, sorry. I forget now that it's very modern. Everything can be done very easily, but I still can't believe if Lisa did that to you. How did she do it?" "I also don't know how he did it, but obviously me, and she did something I've never done before. After that, she injected something into mine." "That's great. So you two did it alone without anyone's help?" "I mean, without the help of a man?" asked Rose, gawking in disbelief. Ginny was silent, then nodded while closing her eyes and leaning her shoulder on the back of her bed. Her tears flowed profusely. "Ginny, why are you crying? You should be happy," asked Rose in surprise. "How can I feel happy when I've asked Lisa to divorce me?" Ginny thought. "Does Lisa already know?" asked Rose and got a shake of the head from Ginny. "You have to tell her," Rose's command. "No, Rose, I'm not going to tell her about this because I'm getting a divorce from her soon," said Ginny, who was crying. "Ginny, you're not kidding, right? Did Lisa want to divorce you?" Rose asked and got another shake of his head from his best friend. "I asked for it," answered Ginny, then wiped her tears. "Ginny, are you crazy? Don't you love her anymore?" asked Rose furiously. "I love her so much, Rose, but I have my own reasons to take this decision," Ginny answered with a sad look. "Whatever the reason, you still can't be separated from her." "I had to tell Lisa that you were pregnant," Rose exclaims. "Rose, please don't tell her. I beg you," Jenny asked while clasping her hands. "Jenny, she deserves to know something important like this," Rose said, getting up from his seat. "Rose, if you keep telling her, I won't see you again for the rest of my life," Jenny shouted with great emphasis. Meanwhile, in another place, Lisa imagined her wife's face that she always saw the first time she woke up. She felt very lonely in the house without his wife. "Why do I still think about her? Isn't this what I've always wanted?" Lisa muttered. "Ugh, I'm really going crazy thinking about all this." Frustrated Lisa ruffles her hair. "Oh my God, what is this ordeal?" she said again while rubbing his face rough with anxiety. Not long after she heard his cell phone ringing, she immediately grabbed the cell phone and saw on the screen an incoming call from his personal lawyer, who was going to take care of his divorce. "Hello, Miss Lisa." "Yes." "What, Miss Lisa, has all the files ready? Let me take it to court immediately." Lisa silently closed her eyes. She seemed unable to accept the fact that she would soon be separated from her wife, who had unconsciously fallen in love with his own wife. "Hello, Miss Lisa, can you hear my voice?" "Yes, sir. I'll let you know when the file is ready." After saying that, Lisa immediately ended the call. Stunned, so frustrated, she got up from her seat and got ready to go to Ginny's house. While at Ginny's house, Jisoo was seen standing in front of Ginny's house while knocking, and soon the door opened and Ginny was immediately surprised when she found out that the one who visited that Jisoo greeted Ginny, and Jisoo just smiled warmly at him. "What are you doing here?" surprised Jenny. "I just want to see how you are. You seem unwell," answered Jisoo while watching Ginny's face, which looks pale. I'm fine," Ginny answered briefly. "Can I come in?" asked Jisoo. "Just sit outside, because I'm alone at home. Very bad if I let you in," said Jenny. They sat on the terrace together. Jisoo kept looking at Ginny's face from the side while Ginny just stared straight ahead. "Where's sister?" asked Jisoo to start the conversation. "In his home," shortly Ginny without looking. And at that moment, Lisa's car was seen stopping in front of Ginny's house. Lisa, who saw Ginny and her brother sitting together, immediately clenched her fists. Her blood seemed to rise to the top of. But Lisa held it firmly, then got out of the car and approached his wife, who had also seen her. Ginny stood up to greet Lisa, who was still her husband. "Lisa, are you here?" Ginny asked with a smile. It seemed she was very happy to see her husband coming back to her again. "Come on in," invite Ginny to take her husband's hand. "No need. I'm just here to ask for your files to file our divorce trial to the court." Relaxed Lisa, who immediately brushed off Ginny's hand. Ginny was so shocked when she heard her husband's words. She was silent. Her heart seemed to stop beating. Cold sweat was pouring down his entire body and his face was even paler. Meanwhile, Jisoo, who heard his brother talk like that, his face immediately turned very excited, as if this was a golden opportunity for him to get Ginny. "Ginny, are you okay?" Lisa asked worriedly while holding his wife's arms and looking at his wife's pale face carefully. Ginny remained silent. Her head felt very heavy. Her stomach seemed to be churning. She was nauseous and was about to fall, but Lisa swiftly caught her wife's body, and a surprised Jisoo immediately said, "Why are you here? Come on, I'll take you to the doctor," said Lisa, who was really worried about his wife's condition, his hands so tightly holding his wife's tiny body. "I'm fine, just tired," Ginny replied, slowly catching her breath. "Ginny, you are sick. You need to see a doctor," Jisoo said anxiously, who wanted to grab Ginny's body but immediately got a sharp glare from Lisa until she stopped her intention. "I do not want to," rejected Jenny. "Then you should rest. I will take you to your room," invite Lisa, then help Ginny walk to her room. Arriving in the room, Ginny immediately sat on the bed. His eyes seemed to be spinning and his stomach felt nauseous, but he held it in for fear of making Lisa even more worried about her. Why are you here? Can't you take care of yourself? Lisa snapped. It was clear from the outline of Lisa's face that she was very worried about his wife. Jisoo also noticed the anxiety in his sister. It seems that brother already loves Ginny. This is very clear. He will never be this worried about anyone except the people she loves. Jisoo's mind is still watching Lisa. Sis, how about we call the doctor to check on Jenny's condition here? Jisoo suggested, looking at his sister. I thought so too, answered Lisa. I told you I didn't want to. You don't force it, Jenny shouted angrily. Why are you so stubborn? What if something happened to you? Lisa shouts, filled with worry. Lisa, you are too much. I'm fine, you better leave me alone, Jenny asked while looking away. Seeing Ginny, who refused to be called a doctor, Lisa and Jisoo didn't force it anymore, and they chose to leave the room to let Ginny rest. Sister is coming home, take care of her, asked Lisa to walk away. I have business, brother, just take care of Ginny, sister, Jisoo said, stopping Lisa's footsteps, who had turned their backs on her, then stepped past her sister and walked away from there. Lisa walked over to the sofa, then sat her body there. His mind was disturbed again by the chaos that plagued his feelings right now. Oh Lord, why am I here? I don't think I can let it go at all, but I have no reason to keep it, Lisa mumbles, leaning her head looking up. After a few minutes, Lisa, who started to calm down, decided to go back into the room to see her wife's condition. When she got to her room, she saw her lying staring at the ceiling. Lisa, why are you still here? Ginny asked, who saw Lisa sitting right next to her. Then she sat down with the help of Lisa. I want to accompany you for a while until you get better, Lisa said softly. I'm fine, Ginny replied, turning her face away, because she couldn't look at Lisa's face, which had filled her heart and tightly held back her tears. They were both silent, and Lisa could only stare at her wife's face from the side. She wanted to hug the woman's body in front of her eyes, but was afraid that the owner of the body would be angry. Have you eaten yet? Ginny asked, looking at Lisa's face, who was still loyal to her. Already, Lisa answered, with a longing look. Lisa kept looking at Ginny's face to make the owner of the face feel awkward for her. Lisa really couldn't hold back the turmoil that was churning in her heart. Lisa, please don't look at me like that. That sight could make me lose my sanity right now, Ginny thought. Ginny, do you hate me so much that you don't want to see me? Lisa asked, because Ginny turned her face back. Ginny looked at Lisa's face after hearing her husband's words, then she shook her head with eyes that were also filled with longing in there. How can I hate you, Lisa? Now I'm pregnant with your child, and I love you very much, Ginny thought. Her heart was so tight, she really missed her husband even with his hugs and caresses. Lisa, I want to rest. You better wait outside, asked Ginny. Feels like she wants to cry now. Get some rest. I promise I won't bother you. Please don't keep kicking me out of here, because I just want to take care of you, Lisa replied with a sad look. Lisa, why did you change like this? This isn't the first Lisa I met. Where is the old Lisa? Ginny thought. Ginny had no other choice. She then lay back down while Lisa constantly watched her wife until she really fell asleep. Elsewhere, Jisoo, who just arrived at his mother's house, immediately sitting on the sofa daydreaming. Something was bothering him after coming from Ginny's house. Suddenly, someone approached him. Jisoo, you're finally home too. said Sumi, who immediately sat down beside Jisoo. Sumi greets Jisoo with a smile. Have you been here all this time? Asked Jisoo, looking warmly at Sumi. Yes, I was very late in the apartment, so I came here to meet you, replied Sumi, smiling. Oh, where are you from? Asked Sumi. From Jenny's house, answered Jesus. Oh, what are you doing? Asked Sumi again. I just wanted to see how he was, and he doesn't seem well. There was also a sister there. It looks like she will soon part with Jenny, Jisoo said with a rough breath. Is that true? Asked Sumi excitedly. Jisoo just nodded his head, but his face clearly looked like he wasn't happy with Jinny and his sister's separation. Turns out, Jenny kept her word, said Sumi, smiling happily. What do you mean? Asked Jisoo curiously. Jisoo, yesterday Jinny came to my apartment to return my cell phone, which was left at her house, and she said that she was going to separate from Lisa. Obviously Sumi didn't tell everything. Is that true? What is she talking about? Asked Jisoo, not satisfied, but Sumi was silent. Sumi, you didn't force Jenny, did you, to divorce your sister? Asked Jisoo, narrowing his eyes. I didn't force it. Yesterday, Lisa also came before Jenny. He got angry and spoke rudely to me, and asked me not to bother Jenny anymore, even though I didn't mean to bother her. I've also been under a lot of pressure lately, so I can't think straight. Moreover, when Lisa spoke rudely to me yesterday, so I intend. What do you mean? Talk, said Jisoo. I was going to end my life, but Jenny came to stop me and said she would talk to Lisa and leave her, but I'm not forcing it at all, explained Sumi. Oh my god, why are you so stupid that you want to end your life? Asked Jisoo, who immediately hugged Sumi's body. I'm so tired. I'm really tired of living like this. Everyone I love hates me and leaves me one by one, especially Lisa and you, said Sumi, crying in Jisoo's arms. I don't hate you at all, said Jisoo. But Lisa really hates me, said Sumi, sobbing. Sisters doesn't hate you, but she's just disappointed in you. Sooner or later, she'll be back to how she used to be, believe me. Jisoo's persuasion made Sumi nod her head. See, you look ugly now when you cry. Haven't you always taken care of your beauty, especially if you want to meet sister? Jisoo teased. Don't worry, after this I will go to the salon to beautify me face so that Lisa doesn't turn to the others again and just stares at me, replied Sumi confidently. Sumi, I think sister already loves Jinny. What if we no longer expect them to be our partner? Let them be happy, Jisoo said softly while holding Sumi's hand. What do you mean? Don't you also still love Jinny very much? Why are you talking like this? Confused Sumi stares into Jisoo's eyeballs. Yes, you're right, I still really love Jinny, but it's not that I want to destroy the relationship. Why is this love maintained if it's alone? Isn't that just torture? So far, my sister has always succumbed to me. She's a woman, but my sister has played a role as a father for me and Mom. How can I destroy the happiness of both of them? On the one hand the woman I love, but on the other hand the sister who has done the most for me. I see from the eyes of the brother a love for his wife. Sorry if I have to say this. Let go of my cyst. Sumi, I know your feelings are broken just like mine, but we have to let them be happy. We've had enough of disturbing them, Jisoo said, giving understanding to Sumi. Sumi just silently digested all the words from Jisoo and without saying a word, he immediately got up from his seat and then left Jisoo's house, while Jisoo just stared at him.